Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today.
You made me forget what I was saying.
Well, you didn't know what you were saying anyway, so go on home. Yeah.
Shame on you, Mr. Skitzowitz. You're supposed to wait for me. How do you think it makes me feel to find you struggling around like this all by yourself? Hurts my feelings, Mr. Skitzowitz. Makes me feel unneeded and unwanted. Now, you don't want that, do you?
Were you ever a playboy bunny, Miss Adams?
Mr. Skitzowitz.
Well, you remind me of a playboy bunny, slightly over the hill. Yes, Miss Adams, you're a hot item. The day after.
Getting back at society in the welfare department by being mean to me is beneath you, Mr. Skitzowitz. Stupid recipients do that, but I didn't think you'd stoop to it.
I didn't.
You did.
I haven't stooped in years.
Well, I may not be able to deal with you, Mr. Skitzowitz, but here's someone who can. If I can read a file, and I can. Oh, she's a beaut, a real beaut, and I can spot them. So gird your loins, Mr. Skitzowitz, gird your loins. Today you're going to meet your match.
But today is my day, Miss Adams, my day alone with you. I've gotten used to our private, weekly, innocent assignations. I need them. The old ego so long dead, It is imperative that you send this intruder packing. I will not, cannot, shall not share you with anyone.
Such passion. How very thrilling to be so important to you. But it's against regulations. Involvements make our clients dependent rather than independent. And regulations say...
Oh, damn the regulations, Miss Adams.
Oh, you are a devil.
Is being young simply a physical condition, or is there more to it than that? Some people are old at 20. Others are young at 75. What's the difference? I think it's a climate of the soul, a stance of the spirit, a certain attitude toward oneself, toward other people, and toward life. Those who are young in spirit, whether at 18 or 80, approach life with hope and optimism. They know about life's pain and anxiety, but they experience something deeper. That something is benevolent, it's loving, it can be trusted. And so these people plunge into life, they celebrate it. The old in spirit look upon their youthful counterparts as naive dreamers. They feel life's pain and anxiety, and they think that's all there is. And so to protect themselves, they close up. As a result, they never discover life's deeper meaning, nor tap its well springs of joy. They do not enjoy life, they endure it. They have become sour, rigid, and defensive. Each of us must decide which approach we will take. Will we close up and say no to life? Or will we open up and celebrate it?
Mr. Skitzowitz.
Perhaps I was a bit hasty. Perhaps you read the file wrong. Perhaps it'll turn out to be another damp young lass, bursting with life and love and compassion for the maimed and deformed. Oh, I hope so, I do hope so. Come to study my extraordinary progress. Ooh, what a good time we shall have, singing and dancing and carrying on your health.
You're a damp young lass. Mrs. Waters,
Yeah.
did you have much trouble finding us?
Oh, no more than you would expect the halt, the lame, or the blind to have. Unhand me, child. Are you Miss Adams? Or the local lovely?
Of course I'm Miss
Oh,
Adams.
don't take offense, sweetie. Never take offense on the first inquiry. I had been told that this was a bawdy neighborhood, and I must be very careful, or I should be accosted.
And were you?
I was not.
Shame. Maybe next time.
Show yourself, licentious coward.
Mr. Skitzowitz, at your service.
Keep your service to yourself. I am Mrs. Eloise Waters.
Now that we've all met, if we'll just sit down somewhere and make ourselves comfy, we'll begin.
Comfy?
Exquisitely.
Now, let us get on with the serious business of learning to live with our limitations.
What?
Our limitations. Now, our first step and our first duty is to learn to recognize and to accept ourselves as we are. You know, nothing is ugly in the eyes of God, and no one is hopeless in the eyes of the welfare department. Now, Mrs. Waters, if you could describe yourself to us briefly.
17, sylph-like, divinely beautiful, supremely talented, and studying ballet with Pavlova.
Facts, Mrs. Waters, facts.
What is it, a robot?
That would explain a lot.
Well, haven't you touched it? What does it feel like, animal, vegetable, or mineral?
I'm sorry to say I haven't.
Shame. Maybe next time.
Bravo.
Please. Now, perhaps we better discuss our purpose here. We learn to wash ourselves, and to cook, and to clean house, and to face the future with a cheerful countenance despite being virtually immobile.
What kind of gibberish are you talking? What does virtually immobile mean to you, in 20 words or less?
Well,
You know, you'd be surprised how mobile virtually immobile is once you begin. I mean, there's nothing mysterious about it. It's just that as you regain your confidence and your self-esteem, you become more...
Sylph-like and 17. Splendid, splendid. I'm ready. Now, where do we begin? Washing ourselves. That should be fun. Shall we all three get into a tub together?
Oh, yes.
Rub-a-dub-dub, free man in a dub. Wouldn't that cause some tongues to wag?
Oh, it would.
Yes, I think I'll need some help with my zipper.
Oh, allow me.
Now, please. Washing ourselves doesn't come first. Now, we have to follow the correct procedure or it doesn't work. Now, I have to write a progress report, and if we don't follow the correct procedure, I won't know what to write. I won't know how to evaluate your progress.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Mrs. Waters?
My mother, rest her soul, taught me to wash first before anything else.
Please, you have got to do what I tell you. Now, first we come to grips with your past.
Past is past. Why not simply say to hell with it? Why not simply proceed with the welfare department's magical way of coping with the future?
Past is prologue.
Irrelevant.
No! Look at Mr. Skitzowitz. Now, he's come to grips with his past. He's learned to talk about it easily, therefore he can go beyond it and grow.
Whoopee.
Well, go on.
Go on. Where?
Tell her about your past.
She's not interested.
Of course she is. It's beautiful.
I'm not interested.
20 years ago, while at work, I forget where I fell. Tripped on a patch of spit.
The rise in factory accidents can be directly attributable to the modern aversion to spittoons.
Mr. Skitzowitz.
I was paralyzed. I was nearly 50, or 40 or 60. What does it matter? Paralyzed but for my vocal cords. Paralyze my vocal cords and I would die. I have a great need to complain.
No more of your little asides, Mr. Skitzowitz.
Well, so far the asides have been more interesting than the narrative.
Gracias.
The regulations say simple narrative, no little asides.
My wife, my 3 sons took care of me as best they could. The savings dwindled, the unemployment disappeared. The man came and took away the TV. My wife, God forgive her, Packed a small bag, took all the money in the house, and left. Took the dog, strangely enough, not the kids, the dog. Something askew there.
The narrative.
The boys ran around like lost puppies at first. 10, 12, 14. 20, 22, 24. I forget. My mother-in-law took them in and set them against me. Married them off to daughters of her ugly friends. I read about it in the papers. I was not invited. I wonder, sometimes when I'm low, if I have grandchildren, what they look like, what they carry in their lunch boxes, how many fights they lose, what they know of their grandpère.
Mr. Skitzowitz.
The narrative, yes. Sacrifice all for the narrative, yes. I drifted around. Neighbors, cousins, people with soft hearts and addled brains. People, in short, with room for the withered remnant of a man in a child's wagon. Red. Still not very decorative in the living room. But then I was rarely kept in the living room. More likely on the service porch. There was a rank smell about me, years without a bath. The narrative, yes. Years in a red wagon. Less red as the years wore on. Browner. Rust, you know. My heart similarly grew less raw. It mattered less that this was my life, as they say. The toll time takes is not all bad, though I did regret the rust.
The narrative.
Nothing. Blank of significance. Between the departure of my slightly askew wife and dog and the arrival of the scintillating Miss Adams.
Mr. Skitzowitz, please!
I'm sorry! There seems to be nothing but asides today, Miss Adams. I'm sorry. None of it seems worth recounting today, Miss Adams. I am sorry. I know what you want. I know what it means to you. The beating of breasts and all that. The fountain, gushing, cleansing. Not today.
That's all right. Now, you tried, and that's all we really want. Now, Mrs. Waters.
I'm going into an abrupt decline.
Mrs. Waters. Mrs. Waters. Are you all right?
Ask the steward to bring me a cup of bouillon to the promenade deck, please, Arthur.
Arthur?
The ruins of Khartoum are exquisite in the purple dawn. Any other time of day, they're swarming with flies, but at dawn, there's a purple
What is she talking?
haze.
Khartoum?
Why?
She's flipped out.
Oh, flipped out, you're kidding.
A
No,
shuffleboard, Captain Williamson.
the manual doesn't go into this.
Do you think perhaps it was my story that nudged her over the edge? What an accolade.
What do I do?
What an honor.
Get her some smelling
What
salts.
a triumph.
Oh, I gotta call the supervisor. Are you all right?
Magnificent, my dear.
Oh, I'd hate to come back and find you jabbering about Khartoum in the sunset.
Sunrise, the only time.
Of course, we must dress for dinner, Arthur. What would the natives think? What do you want to do, prance around in a loincloth? This when in Rome business can be carried too far. Ouch! What on earth? What do you think you're doing? What do you think?
Okay, doll baby.
Okay, I'm lame for life. You have broken my leg in 74 places. This idiot coming at me like a bolt out of blue.
I think we better end this session for today. The manual...
To hell with the manual. You must use your head if you plan to dedicate your life to this.
I haven't dedicated my life to this, Mrs. Waters. I'm just waiting around to get married. Well, it's better than sorting mail or something.
It's best to overlook that kind of remark entirely. There's no such thing as an adequate reply to that kind of remark.
What? What's next on the itinerary?
Your past, and coming to grips with it.
Why not bingo? When do we play bingo? I think it's time to play bingo. Well, what are we waiting for? Eternity? The spin of the wheel? What is it, Sunday or something?
She has to tell us about her past. We can't go on unless she does.
She's serious.
Deadly serious.
How tiresome.
What little disasters have befallen you, my dear? What little catastrophes?
Many, many.
Tell.
Not full of jokes.
It never is.
You're very nice, very kind to want to hear.
And I do.
Really?
Really.
And it's next on the agenda.
She was a playboy bunny in her youth.
I
No.
was not.
Really? How marvelous. Oh, yes, I can see it now.
Of course she denies it.
Turn around, sweetie, wag your tail.
I was never a playboy bunny. Now, either you get on with your story or you get out of here.
She's serious.
Very.
That's understandable.
I suppose.
I'd brag if it were me.
Atta girl.
All right. That's it. You've blown it. To hell with you.
I'm 70. 80, 90, something. Depending on which of my 3 husbands you consult, which you can't do because they're all dead. The lazy bounders. They drank themselves to death. A nice way to go, in my opinion, assuming there's a need to go. I had 2 bambinos by the first, 5 by the second. I really hit my stride there. And 3 by the third, tapering off. 10 altogether, leaving me with a wreck of a body and a wreck of a soul. All 10 of them are around here in various states of collapse. Each of them had 2 or 3 or 4 children. We're all rabbits of one kind or another, aren't we, sweetie? After each of my beloveds had slunk into a shallow grave, I'd go off on a bit of a toot myself. And if you must know, if you must pry into the deepest, most sacred secrets of this ravish bosom, each time I'd end up in the loony bin.
There, now, you feel better, don't you, Mrs. Waters? Now that you've told us.
Splendid place, the loony bin, unfairly maligned.
Mrs. Waters, the narrative, if there is one?
The narrative.
I've arrived.
Welcome.
Well, when I was last released from the bin 2 or 3 weeks ago, or years ago, I forget which. I try to forget. I went around from one child to the next and found no room. In 10 abodes, no room. What are you gonna do when you're a grandmother to nothing but selfishness? Everywhere I went, I wanted nothing more than a spare bed, a red wagon on the service porch, a cup of tea in the morning, a child to read to. Not that much, you must admit, but too much, apparently. Well, what to do? Check into the Hilton? Return to the loony bin? I just got out. No, Dr. Karen, he would have been disappointed. I must make an effort. I joined the Salvation Army in the village. I played the tambourine, and I ladled soup out and listened to old men ramble. No offense. And then God smote me with arthritis. It's impossible to play the tambourine with arthritis. Very unfair.
Now, wait a second. You contracted arthritis, but how'd you get here? Who referred you?
Well, where else do you go when you're unable to even play the tambourine? Who do I talk to? Attendants and public johns? Days are very long, you know, despite rumors to the contrary.
You mean to tell me all you want out of this program is somebody to talk to?
Is that such a crime?
The taxpayers are paying me good money to teach you people something useful. All this time.
Well, oh, no, we've enjoyed it immensely, much as I thought I wouldn't. We surprise ourselves, don't we, even at this late juncture. No, I did enjoy it. I even used to enjoy going to the priest, come to think of it.
Likewise.
All this time for nothing.
You've hurt her feelings.
Have I? Mustn't do that.
Very bad form.
Absolutely.
It's terrible.
I've come to grips with my past.
That's very important.
Oh, I feel 100% better.
Oh, she never would have come to grips but for you.
True. Your prodding has been most beneficial.
You're just trying to make me feel better.
Well, you should feel better. Look at me, a changed woman, ready to face the future with a cheerful countenance, etc., etc.
Ow!
I think the etc., etc. did it.
Does she come back?
She took her purse.
Should we call the supervisor?
The cigarettes are in her purse.
Oh, not to report it, only in case she was to do herself any bodily harm.
I don't believe it was as precipitous as it appeared.
You don't?
She's done it before.
No.
Yes. I would provoke her, quite unintentionally, of course, and she would vanish in a fine rage. I think she has a friend or something upstairs.
Ah.
I found that out quite accidentally. She doesn't know I know.
Ah.
They smoke cigarettes, drink a Diet Pepsi, play Scrabble, I don't know what. In 20 minutes, she'll be back, greatly refreshed.
Oh.
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
For the truth.
The what?
The underneath.
Why?
Why not?
Yes. Yes, of course. Why not?
You first. Your children?
I only had one. I wanted 10 by 3 husbands, but I only got 1 by 1. He died shortly after his father in the war. Some war. That's it. That's all. Very drab.
Oh.
How about you?
I taught poetry at a girls' school. I was discovered reading Ulysses 40 years ago. That was a crime. I couldn't find a job, a wife, a friend, anything. I was in the bin for 10 years.
You jest.
Not me.
Mira Vista?
The same.
I was there between 45 and 50.
I was 30 to 40.
Then we were old friends, nearly classmates.
Oh, if only we'd met.
How different it might have been.
Oh, do you remember Mrs. Cuthbert, the cook?
Oh, Lord, the poison she fed
Yes.
us. To no avail.
Mrs. Cuthbert, the cook, do you remember? I would invite you up to my apartment. If it wouldn't embarrass you.
Embarrass me? Oh, nothing embarrasses me.
You'll come?
Of course.
I haven't had a visitor for 30 years.
Nor I an invitation.
My place smells a bit.
Well, we'll stop on the way and get a can of Airwick.
Oh, splendid!
Well, let's go.
No!
Oh, my God, just when everything was going so well. Are you all right?
Yes. What an awkward position.
Well, what shall I do? Scream bloody murder?
It never does any good, I found, to scream anything. Can you right the chair?
No.
You must.
What do you mean I must? I can't.
I mean, nobody is coming in here until Miss Adams returns. I shall die if left in this position until Miss Adams returns. Of boredom, if nothing else.
I'll sit here with you.
Right the chair!
I'm going.
Well, go ahead.
I'm going.
Go on, you can do it.
Oh.
Bravo, Mrs. Waters, bravo.
That's the single most wonderful thing I've done in 20 years.
Well, you have more to do, my dear. Let's not bask in our petty triumphs.
All right, I'm going. Over hill,
Put on the brake. Put on the brake.
Over
Good.
hill,
Now,
over dale.
stand back out of danger.
Out of danger?
I may fall. I wouldn't want to crash into you. The both of us prone and writhing on the floor, and we would plunge from the absurd to the ridiculous.
Can't afford that.
Now, out of the way, Winch.
Well, if I stand here, I may be able to help.
Here we go.
Go on.
I never thought it would come to this when you came barreling in this morning. The unpredictability of life.
Yeah, that's good. Another inch. You're doing great.
It's hopeless.
Nothing's hopeless.
Ah!
Oh, what a day. What a day.
Yes, what a day. Well, shall we go?
After you.
Right you are. Mrs. Waters, I'm glad you're coming home with me.
I had no place else to go, Mr. Skitzowitz. I'm the one who's glad.
I've been alone for a long time.
No more.
One forgets the delights of the opposite sex.
Oh, yes, I quite agree.
My accommodations are not exactly first class.
Oh, don't worry, we'll fix it up.
Airway?
A contact paper, curtains at the window.
No, it's too much work.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
I have an old radio.
Music, too? Heaven.
My sentiments exactly.
We'll take a turn now and then. We'll just drop our work and take a turn.
You mean dance?
Of course.
You dance with a man in a wheelchair?
Of course, why not? Oh, we'll cavort and carry on, Mr. Skitzowitz. We'll be the talk of the neighborhood. Avanti, Mr. Skitzowitz, avanti.
Avanti.
We'll dress for dinner.
Black tie.
And we'll complain about the bouillon.
Naturally.
And upon reaching Khartoum, we'll rise with the first rays of the sun.
Without fail. Yes,
Over
we
hill,
have no
over
bananas.
dale, till we hit
We
the
have
bank.
no...
Where do you think you're going?
To a wedding in Khartoum.
You're getting married.
At dawn, bring rice. Yes, we have
Over
no
hill,
bananas.
over dale, till
We have
hit
no
the dusty
bananas
trail.
today.
On the canine